In days of yore, youth was born, sturdy strength of the stock of gods. At the edge of the earth, maids 9 gave birth and suckle to the brightest of the gods.
This bloat has ended. Thank you all.
Group hug!
All right, welcome back to the Northwoods Kindred Podcast. I'm Bodvarr, the Gothi of the Northwoods Kindred.
And I'm Skogul, Gydia of the Northwoods Kindred.
There you go. You have it. We're the clergy. All right. Today, we're going to talk about walking your own path and not letting other people determine the path that you walk, regardless if your path is historic, if it's eclectic, or whatever it is that you feel drawn to. We're not going to let the haters hate on this one. So let's just talk about the things that you can do to ignore those that are not on your path and pay attention to the things that you need to do to stay on your path, because it's different for every single person. I don't care who you are. You got to talk to me.
You can't just hand it off to me like that. Like you got to caca. This is going to be fun.
No, it's not.
No, it's going to be fun. This is
Okay.
Okay. So.
I can hear the door closing behind everybody as they leave.
Come on, just.
All right. So I guess that's one of the biggest hurdles. So we have a Discord. If you don't know, get on it, because it's probably one of the best, at least Discords related to Norse paganism. If you're Wicca or something, yeah, you're welcome to come here. We have like a wall for non-Nordic paths, but in general, it's the place to be if you're a Norse heathen or Norse pagan, I think, but I'm biased, so.
We can drop a link down in the description.
Definitely, there'll be a link.
Invite.
There'll be a link down there. As a matter of fact, as long as you're going to look at that link anyway and come join our Discord, drop it down in the comments too. What do you define? How do you define your path? Like, what do you call it? Do you call it Norse paganism or Asatru? Are you eclectic pagan? Or are you a Hellenist? Are you a Wicca or witch? Like, just drop it down there and just let us know. That way, we got kind of a little bit of a feel on who's actually listening to this podcast, so we can, kind of tailor our topics to be either a little more eclectic to serve everyone, or if we can just niche it right down to Asatru in general. So that'd be kind of fun, right? Just to at least know who's listening. Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. So she's not very comfortable on a podcast yet.
Not yet.
This is what we're dealing with.
Wow. Wow. Guess what you're going to be dealing with later.
Be dealing with that, I guess.
Okay, well, tell us how you got on your path.
Okay, well, I kind of came to it weird, but I was a Catholic. I was raised like bad Catholic. That is to say, my parents said we were Catholic, but we never went to church, right? Maybe they'd force us there at Easter or Christmas or something. That was it.
I think there's a lot of that out there.
Yeah, so, and I didn't suffer any, I know a lot of people had a lot of traumas from the church. I didn't get any of that. I didn't have any traumas. I wasn't, touched by the clergy. It was all good. It was just nothing. There was a moment, when we were living down around Augusta, Georgia. We had a preacher, I assume Catholic. I don't know. I was just a little kid. I assume that's the religion my mom said we were. So I guess he was a Catholic preacher. And that tells you how big into it we were. But I remember that he came over to the house for dinner one time, and he got super drunk, and he started hitting on my mom, and my dad basically just kicked him out, and he passed out on the lawn, and one of the clergy people had to come pick him up. So I remember that as a kid. So that shaped kind of my opinion of formal clergy, at least in the Catholic Church. So fast forward, until I'm a grown up, and I had actually went to boot camp and I had declared that I was Catholic. So my first set of dog tags ever say Catholic on them.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and that's 1993. They're sitting in a box right over there. I still have them. They say Catholic on them. And then very soon after I got out to my first school, I'd met a kid he was fiddling around with some runes. Probably Ralph Blum's or whatever, like the ones that come in a kit, like these little clay runes. So he was fiddling around with those, and I'm like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I'd always been a little bit into like the occult, right? Because I remember reading like the Necronomicon and trying to summon demons and stuff when I was in high school, just playing these stupid games. And so I always had like that little bit of a fascination with the occult. So it wasn't a big stretch to say, "Oh, runes, let me play with them." It wasn't that. I wasn't like, "Oh, freaked out. Oh, it's devil worship." I wasn't like that at all. So I kind of interrogated him a little bit about what the runes were, and he didn't really know any more than like anybody that's kind of starting out. Oh, they came from Odin, and
Yeah.
he didn't know either. So I was like, "That's cool. I need a set of those. I'm gonna get some." And I couldn't find a place to get them because we didn't have Amazon, right? Like,
Yeah,
this is 1993.
And we didn't even have Google.
Yeah, we didn't have anything. So we didn't either, did we? No,
I mean, maybe the elite did, but we didn't. Like,
well, they wouldn't have had Google. They'd had like Ask Jeeves or something.
oh, that's right. There was Ask Jeeves. I remember him. He was cool.
So we would have had something like that, but you still wouldn't have been able to find products like that. Like internet commerce wasn't a thing yet. So you would just go to the local bookstore or eclectic store or whatever. So I know I hit like the local head shop, that sold everything but weed on the main strip in Oceanside.
Yes.
Inner World.
Yeah, Inner World.
Yeah.
Spencer's was another one.
Spencer's, yes. We'd go to places like that. Hot Topic might have something that was usable. And the bookstores, Barnes & Noble or...
Yeah, back then there was bookstores.
Yeah, like real bookstores. And you could go to some older bookstores or some eclectic bookstores or whatever. And then, so I ended up looking for... I couldn't find any anywhere. I was looking for like the Blum book with the little bag of runes that came with it. I thought, yeah, this is going to be my thing. And I couldn't find anything, so I just made them. I just went to, it was like some off-highway like rest stop, and they sold like little rocks. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
it's like a big bin, and you just like pick your rocks.
Yeah,
And I picked a whole bunch of them little like hematite things.
Oh, that's
and
where
I
those
scratched all the runes in with like a Leatherman.
That's where those came from, huh?
Yeah, those old hematite. I think half of them are missing.
You gave them to me.
And they're probably, yeah.
Yeah, I still have
half
them.
of them are missing. There's a mix of younger and elder Futhar. I didn't know what I was doing.
I don't think there's any missing. I think I have the full set.
Do you?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, either way, so that was like my first foray into it. And then so I got these runes, and there was still no information about them. So I just tried to gather information. And it doesn't take too long to realize who's full of shit and who might have some idea what's going on. Mm-hmm. So I just kind of leaned in that direction. But very rapidly, I drifted away from the runes and toward the lore.
Yes.
Because I found the lore looking to answer questions about the runes, and then the runes were like put on the back burner. Like, it's like, they're interesting and all, but there's so much more here to dig into. So that's really where I kind of found my fascination for it, was just going through and reading all the lore and stuff. And then later on, of course, that led back into runic uses and a little bit more understanding on how they were used versus how we use them now. I'm not gatekeeping. Like, however you use them is fine with me. Like, but how we use them now with the whole casting thing is not. I think everybody pretty much knows that's not historic or traditional. Mm-hmm. But it works. And I got some ideas on why I think that does work. Maybe we'll get into that in a little while, but if not, maybe we'll do a rune segment later. But I have a reason why I think that even if you pick up the runes the first time with nothing but a guide sheet with a bunch of one-word things, and you cast them runes and you try to read them off that guide sheet, they're going to be super accurate. And I think I know why. But, yeah. But I know how you got into everything.
You?
Yeah. So that's easy enough.
Yeah. Well, I guess a little bit is growing up. We were like holy rollers, like, speaking
probably a good preface though to say that we have known each other since like the 4th or 5th grade.
Yes.
And we've been dating since 9th grade in high school. So, but when she says we, she's talking about her family. You ain't talking about us.
Yes, yeah. So my grandma was like a holy roller, like snakes and speaking in tongues.
Really? They did like the snake thing?
That's what I've heard. I've never actually seen it. Because...
But they're the ones like going, hey, beep, 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 and
yeah.
jumping up and down and doing all that weird stuff. Wow, that's cool,
That's
man.
what
I would have played that game for a minute.
Well, I never actually got to see that. What I did do was my grandma made me sing in nursing homes all the time when I was younger.
I didn't know you had a voice. You want to give us a taste of that?
No, I absolutely do not. I can't hold a tune. But yeah, so my childhood was singing to old people in nursing homes songs of Jesus.
Oh, that's horrible.
It was horrible.
Oh, man, how traumatizing.
And then, according to my dad, we were like Lutherans, but I didn't really
I don't even know what a Lutheran is.
I don't either. And that was when he was married to his third wife. And there was some trauma there. I mean, you know that.
Yeah.
Going after Sunday school to pick up some yardsticks that, Yeah. But so of course,
whip the devil out of you.
Yeah. And that's what it was, and it didn't work, of course.
No.
So I never really had any type of connection or patience with this so-called God that just, would allow this weird demonic shit.
Yeah.
So I didn't have anything until, you came along, and I still didn't really have anything. And then you're like, oh, here's Norse paganism, and let's be heathens. And it's like, okay.
Okay,
cool.
Yeah,
whatever. Let's do it. And it wasn't until...
But that was, that's like over 30 years ago now, without ever looking back even once.
Yeah.
So.
And then there came a moment that I had a really, really, really dark night. And I know, you kind of know in what time period I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
And it was at that moment that I actually just, I grabbed my runes and I held on to them like for dear life. And I just kind of was asking for just some mental comfort.
And that's not something you hear about the runes very much. You don't hear about people like clutching the bag.
Yes.
And asking for this help or using it as any kind of a catalyst, as a communication device between them and the gods. You always physically have to do something with the runes, but nobody ever looks at runes as a security blanket, the way they are. I think that's a use that I think most people do, but it's not accepted and nobody talks about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just the fact that you just feel comfortable to have your runes with you. And I didn't mean to cut your story off.
No. I think you're absolutely right. And for me, because I didn't know how to use them, I, didn't necessarily even believe in them at that point. It's like, oh, okay, let's be heathens because it's not Jesus, it's not any of that. But
so like the rebellious.
Yeah.
And there is, like, I was obviously captivated by the literature and the lore. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the runes is what brought me in. And then you just kind of just followed me in. But there was certainly a rebellious phase. It was like, what? Yeah. We were forced to do this crap. We're not forcing this on our kids. We're just going to be naturalists. We're going to do things by nature, and we're only going to honor gods that honor nature,
Yeah, and it was almost like, you're lucky it's not Satanism,
Yeah, right? Whatever the rebellion
because,
was.
I mean, there was a lot of people that thought when I was a teenager, just painting my face up as, Kiss or Alice Cooper and going to concerts and stuff like that. Like, that was Satanism.
We really aren't that much different, I think, than the youth of today. Mm-mm. We rebelled just as hard as they rebelled. We were our own individual generation, just like they are their own individual generation. That's hard to remember. Sometimes it's like, come on, man, we were just as bad.
Yeah,
we were just as bad. For our parents, we were just as bad as they are to us.
I think so.
Sometimes you just got to like take a step back and be like, hey, that's just the next generation doing what the next generation does.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, for us, it was certainly rebellious phase. Mm-hmm. But we also didn't, we were fortunate because when we came up 30 years ago, we didn't have the internet. Mm-mm. If somebody had to troll you, they had to troll you in person. And that didn't happen very often.
No, because they were, scared of getting their teeth knocked in.
Because that was a real threat. That was a real thing that could happen. That could really happen. That doesn't so much happen anymore. I mean, people talk about it like it does, but the truth of the matter is, of all those people, most of them have never really been punched in the mouth.
No, but they certainly deserve it.
They certainly, some do, but some don't. Either way, that's not really the point. The point is, we weren't trolled especially like we are now, but like people are now. It's like, if you find like something that you love or something you like, and you're just so excited and happy and you just want to share it with the world, you can bet that they're going to come at you, and all these trolls are going to come out, and I'm using the word trolls, but really they're just uneducated dickwads, really. They're just people who are afraid to express the things that they love because they're afraid of the exact same treatment that they're giving other people. It's probably part of the problem right now that we have with everything. But we didn't have to face that. We could just be who we were. Now, I had to face that a little bit because I was in an organization that sort of required belief in God, right? The Marine Corps, God, chesty puller, and an Ed 1 Abrams tank, like whatever. It was all about that kind of shit. And to the point where it was like every single formation, the chaplain would come out, let us pray, go to parade rest, bow your head. And, that's the culture we had to live with. But even that's changing right now.
You certainly gave them many headaches.
Yeah, there was a lot of pushback on the whole bowing your head thing. And, that's a topic of contention even now with Norse paganism, is like, I don't bow my head. That's my own personal choice. But I'm not going to go back to the lore and say that nobody ever bowed, or nobody ever kneeled, or any of that. Like, they all did.
Yeah,
of course they did.
Some people kneel and do that.
Of course they did. And some people nowadays do. It's not like you're not a Norse pagan if you take a knee, or you're not a Norse pagan if you bow your head. Like, do whatever the hell you want. I don't care how you communicate with your creator.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is that a lot of people, they have like, I think they just have like so much like reservation and anxiety over sharing what they do or the way they do things, that the only way they can express that is through attacking other people for doing things that they don't like about themselves. Does that make sense? Like,
mm-hmm.
if I have this bad habit of doing something and I know I do it and I hate it about me, then I can't change me, obviously, because I have low willpower and low self-esteem, but I can project that onto someone else who's doing the things I don't like about me, and then I can try to beat them into changing, and maybe that will make me feel better about my own shortcomings. And of course, I'm speaking as the troll now, but I think, and at least that's the way that I can rationalize it, because people come out and like, nobody asked for your opinion. The internet's full of millions and millions and millions of videos and people and places and things. And I'm pretty sure that if you have an opinion, a strong opinion about something, and you don't voice it, life will go on. It's going to go on for you. It's going to go on for them. Nobody really cares about your opinion, unless your opinion is in favor of what they're doing, and then you can be part of the club. There's
a lot of people that think you're interested in their opinion.
There is a lot of people. Yeah. And it's not so much that I'm not interested in other people, because I am. I'm not interested in battling over things that don't matter. It does not matter to you if I kneel to pray. Doesn't change your life one single bit, unless you're somehow self-conscious about the way you pray, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then if something I do strikes a chord with you, and then you feel like you have to attack me, that's okay. I mean, that's just the way the internet is. But the whole point of like doing this podcast isn't to say people are dicks and don't listen to them. The point is that your way is your way, and it's shaped by your life cycle. Like, she has certain things that were shaped by her childhood before we got together, and
mm-hmm.
some things that are shaped by her life after we got together. And that makes her, and that's why a partnership works, because her we've lived the majority of our lives right side by side with each other. But faced with any of 20, 30, 40, 50 decisions in a day, we could have a differing opinion on how to solve that problem.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Because we live different lives.
Yes.
Now separate into people who just met each other or don't even know each other, but just kind of crossed paths on the internet. Of course you're going to have different ways to do things,
Mm-hmm.
Of course you are.
Well, and I think also, something you talked about in the beginning was just the different paths and the different people, and growing up different. I mean, that all comes to a head, and personalities clash.
Yeah, they do.
And then there's a whole lot of courage on the other side of the screen. Like, don't forget that. Like, you can't get punched in the mouth through the screen.
Yeah. It's really easy to be the biggest, baddest, toughest guy in the room when that room consists of you and a keyboard.
And most people too will fight back when it's so pointless. Like, they're just wasting their breath.
And that's something you'll probably notice about us is you probably don't see too many comments on YouTube or TikTok or anything that are negative, because we just get rid of them. Like, I know in a lot of cases it's because we're a larger creator, and some people can get, they can get a little bit of steam under them by jumping in the comments and starting to fight with the creator. But I don't engage. And what I've noticed, this is just me, there's been a couple of people who are a little larger, a little bit bigger, maybe a little well-known that we have a little disagreement with, and I'll deal with them. I'll talk to them. But when you got like 3 followers and you come at me like guns a-blazing, then I can see that all you're trying to do is get a little attention.
Yeah, you're getting the band hammer.
Yeah, usually. Sometimes I'll interact with them for a minute, and then I'll block them because they'll push it beyond something that I'm comfortable with. They'll take my interpretation of the lore or whatever, which they disagree with wholeheartedly, and we can go back and forth. But as soon as it becomes personal and it's name calling and slander, baseless slander. I've been called every name of the transphobe, all
there has been quite a few people that have started to come at you, and then you actually talk to them.
Some of them I do,
like an adult, and you guys end up being great friends. We have a lot of people like that we know.
I don't know about great friends with some of them. Some of them we
acquaintances.
Yeah,
good acquaintances.
We have, yeah. But sometimes, at least we're just not enemies. They don't have to attack me. But every attack I do not treat as an attack. But obviously I'm learning how to do this stuff too. Mm-hmm. We've only been on the internet for a little while, and I've absolutely blown my top, and I've made some unreasonable videos, and I've done that stuff too. And even to the point where I've even called people out on the way they do stuff. When this whole idea is like, don't listen to guys like me that do that. But there's lessons to be learned too. Like, I know now that it took me a while to get to the point where I'm at to be able to be like, I think that's fucked up, and then I just walk away. Now I don't have to say it to them.
Yeah.
Right. I can disagree with somebody without telling them that I disagree. Right.
Mm-hmm. Well, you spent so many years in your career teaching young Marines, and a lot of those teachings was life and death.
Yeah.
It's like, so you're teaching them, and you expect them to follow, the course.
100% compliance.
Yeah, so once you're on TikTok and you're trying to teach a little something because you love teaching, and somebody comes at you, it was on. There was a lot of
we got rid of a lot of that stuff, but
you did.
Sometimes I'll try to just kind of banter back and forth, because I don't always know, like, I'll try not to immediately go on the offense.
Not anymore.
Yeah, I used to.
I'm talking about way at the beginning.
Took it negative.
Way at the beginning.
But I was still high strung as a Marine, and yeah. So these things take time. It takes time to learn how to deal with people, and this is a different environment than one I'm used to. The one I'm used to is, for one, you deal with people. I'm used to coming from a place where I had to deal with people face to face, not in this digital format where there's no consequences for your actions. That requires a whole different set of navigational tools that I did not have.
No, you absolutely did not have. Neither did I. Like, I came out, it was such a different landscape, the pagan community, than it was, 20 years.
In person, when we would
go
to large pagan gatherings and meet other heathens, some of which we still communicate with today. Some have gone.
Yeah, like we popped out on the internet scene without any research into what was already out there. We came out guns a-blazing, and people were shooting back, and it's like, whoa.
We had seen some stuff that was out there. There were some channels. I won't get into them, but there was some stuff, and it's like,
yes,
this is really like real pagan stuff. Like, we don't have to trash them, which we still have never have. We don't have to trash these people. We can just provide a better example for people who think like us. Some people need that. Some people need that whole play aspect of it. That the full on dressing up, the not really understanding the
Well,
the mechanics of a ritual, but just being
I love dressing up.
strange. Yeah, I like dressing up too.
I love dressing up in just ritual dress. And I can go as, big and eccentric as I want, but it's just different. Because I don't wear dresses, you know that. I'm not a big dress person. So when I put on a dress, there is a connection that I feel. And it has nothing to do with, I'm a Viking, and stuff like that. It's like there's just this connection of just a little bit more femininity and
see that just something you just said is that you said you love dressing up, so do I.
Mm-hmm.
But then you felt like you had to rationalize it.
Absolutely, yeah.
And because that's the world we live in now. Everything you do, you have to be able to explain. Well, I don't want to have to explain it. Sometimes we just do things because it feels right.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes things just feel right. And our religion, if we want to call it Asatru or Norse paganism or paganism in general or heathenry or whatever you want to call it, our religion now is at least 1,000 years separated from what we're emulating, right?
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people, at least with Asatru, they tend to focus on this little 300-year period right in the middle of the Viking Age.
Yeah.
But that's not it. Like, this stuff started in the Stone Age, and it evolved until it became what it was during the Viking Age, and then it evolved into something else. A lot of it under, the thumb of Christianity, but it still evolved into something else. It evolved into folklore, family and regional traditions, and those traditions may or may not have even reflected what 100 years or 200 years prior the hill folk would have been doing at that time. But they've taken little bits and pieces like, I don't know, like a Yule log, right? So now they had a little log and they would do their little wishing and burn it, right? But that was like just a small little piece of them used to lighting a big log or a giant round on fire and rolling it down a hill, but they didn't do that because the Christians wouldn't allow them. So they had to take a lot of those little things and reinvent them. So they were more of a symbolic representation and bring them indoors sometimes, That's just one example, but almost everything we do, like now, we don't lead a boar around, an atonement boar.
Nope.
We bring out the little peppermint candy that symbolizes a boar, but we still atone. We still say something we would like to do better this year than we did last year. We still use it under the same circumstance, but we've evolved a tradition. And I think that a lot of people have issue with the evolution of tradition because it's not so rigidly stuck to what we have on a piece of paper, right? And that's but Alan Watts would say that you're eating the menu instead of ordering off of it, because you can't you can't think outside the piece of paper. You can't think that I'm going to order that and it's going to be delicious. You just eat the menu because it looks good,
Yes.
That's Alan Watts, not me.
Yeah.
It's probably a little deeper than I could explain it.
But even, even those people that just want to take from the lore, right? Then you have those that battle, well, it was written by Christians and stuff like that. So
yeah, there's always that battle. And then it's like, well, in the Journal of Ibn Fahlan, he says that they had makeup under their eyes. Yeah, but he was an Arab and he wasn't one of them. And
Eben.
Eben needs stone off. Okay, but my point is, like, some people will use like Ibn Fahlan's journal.
Yes.
Or Fahlan. I don't know. How do you say it? Tell me in the comments, but we're not going to play the troll game. But so some people will take that journal and they'll say, okay, well, it says this, so this is the facts, and they do the same thing with Tacitus, and they're like, well, Tacitus didn't even write it or whatever, or it was just his notes or whatever. And they find reasons to use it to support their argument, but unless it supports your argument, and then they'll say that it's not relevant because of X, Y, Z, right? Tacitus is the same way. The Book of the Danes, that's kind of the same thing. That like, well, it was written to be to boost the Danes' self-image and cultural image above everyone else, so it can't be taken in the as face value. You have to look at it through the lens of a Dane trying to elevate his countrymen. You know what I mean? But if it supports their argument, then it's like, well, in Saxo Grammaticus or in Ibn Fahlan's journal, or then they use it as the reference. So the truth is you can't really win. You can interpret the references through the lens of your life, and you can do what makes you feel like you are connecting to the gods, and it's nobody else's business, really.
Which is really sad, because like we're outnumbering. Like spirituality and paganism is on the rise, and we should all come together, because man, we would be unstoppable if we could just support each other.
Yeah, and it's well, we were talking about it today, and so one of the examples that I use to kind of really flesh out what we're dealing with here is that, and I know I'm a Gothi, and I believe in the gods, I really do, but I don't believe they are what we think they are. I don't believe that they're these humanoid figures that have big red beards and eye patch on, and I don't believe any of that shit. But you can believe whatever you want. But to me, I think that whatever is on the other side is the same for every human being. I don't care if you're black. I don't care if you're Hispanic or Asian. I don't care if you're a Buddhist or a Taoist, or if you are a Catholic preacher. Whatever's on the other side, I think, is the same for all of us. Now, there may be levels of that based on how you lived your life, but even then, I'm not sure that's even relevant on how you live your life. I think it's all the same, and it's just about how we interface with that. How do we exchange information, and how do we understand the phenomenon that it puts in front of us, like rain and sun and growth and harvest and all that? How do we understand those things based on the lens of our own learning, our own history and our own traditions, right? So the best way I could say to put it into sense, this wouldn't have made sense in the 90s, but it makes sense now, is it's your operating system. My operating system is also true. Your operating system is also true. Somebody else's operating system is Norse pagan. Somebody else's eclectic witch. Somebody else's is Catholic. Somebody else's is Baptist. Somebody else's is this and that. And all it is it's the frame, it's the windows, it's the apps and all the other things that we do to interface with whatever's on the other side of that. You can open an Apple computer or you can open an IBM computer, and you can both access TikTok, and it's the same shit on TikTok, no matter who you are or what you, right? And then you can use your operating system to interface with it or to interact with it. That's all it is. Whatever's on the other side is the same for everybody. There's no way that this is so similar in everybody, and it came from different creators. So whatever created it, created all of it. So I'm pretty sure that we're just using different operating systems to access that creation. So why are we so hard on each other if your operating system isn't my operating system? I don't say, oh, you got a Mac? Don't come to my house, bitch. We're an IBM household here. Like, are you kidding me? That's how people act about religion, which is probably less important than the operating system you're using. At least if we're not using the same operating system, we can't share videos and stuff, right?
Yeah.
I'm getting on a tangent, but
no. This totally reminds me of the conversation we had about dressing up and putting on furs and putting on makeup and maybe having a chin line and maybe singing that song. What is it? My Mother Told Me.
Yeah.
And getting such hate, and you want to be a Viking, and nobody said anything, like that.
So what she's talking about, because obviously,
you know what I'm talking about.
Obviously,
yeah.
A lot of these things are culturally appropriation, right?
Yes.
They're obviously cultural appropriation. We're not going to deny that. Although a lot of people that do it don't know that it's cultural appropriation, and man, they get the bat when they come out with that kind of stuff.
They do, yeah.
But we're going to talk about, so we'll say that there's a channel, and on this channel, the person dresses up and puts on makeup, and maybe there's chin lines, and maybe there's eye makeup and all that kind of stuff, and maybe there's a fur and a Xena warrior princess brassiere, and they come out and they lip sync to My Mother Told Me or something like that. My mother, right?
Yes.
Or worse, or some other feminine like power song or whatever, like all the songs that are circulating the videos that everybody loves, right? Even if they're not Norse. Even if you use like, I don't know, like whatever. So whatever songs are popular at the time, even if it's a modern song. And people are going to look and they're going to be like, you're not Viking. Vikings didn't have chin lines. Vikings didn't wear furs. Vikings didn't pierce their nose. Vikings didn't have tattoos on their face. Da, 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 da. And it's like nobody ever said they were Viking. It was just a video of somebody cosplaying, dressing up, enjoying themselves. And my thing is like, why do we, obviously I don't, but why do we as a community get mad at that instead of just being friends with those people and helping them along? As we don't get mad at people for playing video games, right? And I would say that it's all just an expression of the self and an escape from this bullshit reality, right? From bills and jobs and assholes on the internet and hate at school and all the other things that people put up with. Sometimes they just want to escape this reality. And you can do that with cosplay, and you do that with video games, and you do that with meetup groups and Dungeons and Dragon games and all that kind of stuff. None of it means that you actually believe it, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't play Vikings Valhalla, the video game, and actually believe you're going to Valhalla. If you do, you actually, there may be something wrong. But for the most part, people are just having fun. And if they think they learn something from the video game and they regurgitate that on the internet, our job is not to make them feel stupid and unwelcome. Our job is to help them and be like, oh, you like that kind of stuff? If you want to know a little bit more about the real deal, bounce on over to our Discord and learn, and ask some questions from some people who are really knowledgeable. Not like, oh, you're so stupid. You play a video game and you think it's real? What a dork, Like, come on, guys. Like, love each other a little bit, Like have a little bit of compassion for each other, because that's a person. That's not a bot. That's a person with a lot of, insecurities.
Trauma. Like
traumas. You don't know what they're trying to escape when they do that kind of stuff. Like, man, give these people some slack. Like, befriend them. That might be all they need, is just a good heathen friend that,
Well, I want to take this time to just kind of throw it out there that we have the best Discord server out there.
Well, we're not on every Discord server, so we don't really know. But as far as the way that we interact with people, our server is fantastic. We have really good mods. You can go into our server and ask a stupid question, and yes, there are stupid questions. But you can go in and ask a stupid question and get an honest, well thought out answer from some people who really know what they're talking about. You will not be ridiculed for it. But some people will come in and they will draw a line of stupid questions, intentionally trying to harass or to instigate. And our admins are really good at finding those people and freezing their ability to talk for a minute. It just runs really well. I don't want to go down in the negative because every Discord, I'm sure, has these people.
No, I just wanted to remark on how great our Discord is with our people.
So we call our Discord our tribe.
Yes.
They are our tribesmen.
Yeah.
Because we don't believe that you can do a digital kindred, but we can do a digital tribe because we're coming together for the same reason, right? And we're giving each other mutual respect. Well,
when we came out on the internet, we had so many people just want to interact with us, and they're like, how can we be a part of the Northwoods Kindred? And I mean, there was a need out there, and it's like, well, you kind of got to be local, you kind of got to be able to show up, and you got to kind of mesh with us. But so we started the Discord. I think it was our daughter told us, oh, you guys should start a Discord.
Yeah, so we asked our kinsmen, they're like, oh yeah, we do that all the time with our gaming groups. And we're like, wait, what? What's a Discord? So, but you built it all, right? Like, anytime anybody wanted to help, she was like, show me how. So she learned how to do it. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, and, I wanted to know how to do it, because I don't want to have to rely on somebody else to do it and then, not be able to do something myself.
We've also been around this community long enough to know that people fall out.
Yes.
In the short term, in the long term, sometimes it's repairable, sometimes it's not. But we wanted to make sure that we still had control of our space in the event that everybody hayaka'd or we just went batshit.
Yeah.
know?
And so I wanted to learn everything, and there's still a lot to learn. I know that. I've just got the bare bones of it. But now that I feel comfortable enough with certain things, like our moderators, I've pretty much given them free reign.
Yeah.
They have a giant ban hammer.
Yeah. They can kick anybody out that they want, but we trust them, and that trust was earned over a long time.
Yes. Yeah.
So not only moderating the thing, which is where they really kind of proved their mettle, but we've known them before then too, and they were really good resources for us and friends to us on the internet. And it was like any other relationship, it was developed over time. It wasn't just like, hey, you're here, you're a mod, you're a mod, you're a mod.
Yeah, I think that's where a lot of
We moderated the whole thing at first.
Yeah, and not only Discord, but all of our different
Social media. We still do.
social medias out there. Yeah.
Yeah, we still maintain control of all of that. We don't have any just like mods that just mod for
So-
that, other than Discord, because we can't be on all the time. But we got mods around the world, and the cool thing is there's always somebody we trust up and on it at any hour of the night. So even when we get some troll that swoops in at 3 a.m. and tries to raid the place, they get shut down really fast, like in minutes.
Yeah.
So this is not a dare. I'm sure you'll get through. It's just I'm just saying that we have a lot of people who pay attention most of the 24 hours of a day.
Yeah. We kind of got off topic.
We did.
That kind of happens with us.
Yeah, it does.
So back to walking our own path. What other paths do you walk?
Well, I don't know what you mean, but I mean...
Well, you don't just walk the path of Asatru in the Norse gods. Like, what other paths have you walked in life?
No, well, I mean, I'm a retired Marine, so I walked that path. But I mean, the whole idea is that just whatever you do, whatever got you to where you're standing right now, imprinted on you. Like your decisions, every decision you make is going to be affected by a decision that you made in the past. Like we're essentially programming ourselves every day as we move through life, and that programming just affects the decisions you make, and those decisions are not going to be the same. You're not going to come to the same conclusion as other people. So in a lot of cases, here's a good example. Like you decide you want to get your nose pierced. I don't want my nose pierced. I don't want a bunch of shit in my face. Right?
Okay.
I don't necessarily find it unattractive. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I know that for me personally, it would be very uncomfortable. I wouldn't like it. Some people like a beard, some people don't because it's uncomfortable or it's itchy sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
But who am I to tell somebody who doesn't want a beard that they have to grow a beard, right? Who am I to tell somebody who wants to get a nose ring that that's stupid and you shouldn't do it, right?
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. Like, what the hell do I care, But for some reason, when you swoop into somebody's video on YouTube, you just feel the need to say it. And I'm just here to tell you that you're going to have conversations in real life and people are going to be like, oh, what do you do? Oh, I'm also true. I'm like, oh, they're a bunch of fucking racists. Well, that's not true.
That's not true.
That's not true at all. They might honestly believe that because they've experienced this path in a very narrow window of very specific people who say the specific things over and over again. But there's nothing racist about also true. Ask the Icelanders. They use that term too, and it's, and everywhere else. But
well, there's so much misinformation out there.
Well, yeah, misinformation for sure. But ultimately, it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what someone else wants to do. I don't get how. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm just there's like this big light that I don't see yet that makes all of that make sense. That makes all of that hate and judgment make sense in the world. It's like, oh, it's important because that's how we keep blah 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 blah, right? But to me, I can't see how any of that makes any sense. And I'm not going to say I'm not guilty of doing it occasionally. I try not to, and she catches me a lot and stops me from. She's like, why does your opinion matter in this particular video? Or why does it matter in this case? Are you trying to pick a fight? Because you're not going to change anybody's mind. I don't care who you think you are. You're not going to jump in the comments section of somebody's video and change their mind, right? And you're not going to change anybody else's mind either. Nobody pays any weight to the comment section online except the commenter and the person who's being bashed. And I say bashed because for some reason the negative holds more weight than the positive. It's just how it is.
It holds so much more weight.
It does. Yeah. And it actually, it has less value, but it holds more weight, it seems like, to the creator. And I'm not just talking about me. I'm talking about creators in general because you see them talk about it all the time. And there's a lot of them. They're like, we don't give a fuck. We'll do whatever we want. We don't care what they say. They care.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of big creators, especially if they got big fast, like a Fluke.
Mm-hmm.
They get tore up and they just don't even know how to handle it. And it's just like, leave them alone.
Well, we take things so personal And I mean, something you've always said is like, you never know what somebody's going through in life at that
big
moment.
deal.
And you could really do some serious damage. And I think for the most part, half of the people that comment in a negative fashion don't mean any real harm. I think they don't
say half. No.
No?
Mm-mm.
No.
No, I think they don't mean harm. They don't mean like they're going to make a comment like, "Oh, your face is stupid," and you're going to kill yourself, and they're going to.
No, that would be unalive.
No, we're not on TikTok. We're on.
Oh, I guess
We
not.
can say anything we want.
Okay, yeah.
So you would go do that. You'd check out early. They don't want that. I don't think they. Some of them do,
No,
but I think in the most part, most of them don't. But if they leave a bad comment, they mean for you to feel bad about what you're doing.
they're okay. So they're certainly looking for entertainment at your expense.
Yes.
But I don't think they actually mean for you to physically harm yourself. For the most part, at least I would
don't know.
hope not. I
think some of them do. I think that's their
I think there are
entertainment.
certainly some that
Certainly.
do. But the human, I don't know. Our society, I would really hope that that's not the case. But
Yeah.
you're probably right.
I don't know. I mean, I don't have a.
I mean,
I've been
caw-caw,
around.
caw-caw.
You got to remember though, we're coming. This is a good example that we're coming from two different lenses. She's coming from the lens of a mom. She's trying to see the best in her kids and in the people that they interact with at the school and all this kind of stuff. And I'm coming from a world where everybody's the enemy until they prove something different.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So we're both
correct.
coming from so even this little conversation about 50% of the trolls online, do they mean to hurt the people that they're actually trolling? Do they? I don't know. I assume that they do. I assume that they are bad players and they need to be dealt with. She's like, it might be just somebody having a day, or maybe just hit a nerve, or they're probably good people that just had a moment.
Oh no, I don't think they're good people. I think they're just out for entertainment, and they
Mean no harm.
yeah, they don't really mean any harm, but they don't really care if they do harm you. But
Yeah.
they're not good people.
Well, this isn't supposed to be about trolls anyway. That's not the idea
no,
behind the,
but
the podcast. But
it would be nice to know what everybody else thinks.
it would, yeah. I'd really like to hear what you think about trolls. And if you got cool tactics, like absolutely share those, because you might be helping somebody else overcome an issue that was created through some negative press online. But I think as a community, we don't do enough to support each other. It always seems to be we're in one camp or the other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's
I agree
almost
with
like
that.
everything has to be black and white, left and right, liberal and conservative, Republican and Democrat, like anti-gun, pro-gun, like everything it's either this or fuck you. There's no meeting in the middle. I don't understand it. Because for the most part, I just want people to live their life and be happy, because I find that I get
And
along
watch our
better.
videos.
Yeah, right. Watch our videos too. I find that I get along better with happy people. Even when I'm a miserable old goat, I still get along better with happy people, and it brings me out of my mood. But if I'm just a miserable ass and I'm in a room full of miserable asses, that's gonna be a crappy night for me and for everybody else, probably, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just think being happy is better. I just think it's better. I'm not always there, but I am definitely better when I'm happy than I am when I'm mad or sad or angry.
Yeah.
So
And a lot of the times when you get into that negative space, you don't even know how you get there.
yeah, it's just like something triggers it. I stub
Yeah.
my toe and then
Spill your coffee, and it's
It's
like,
a chain reaction of events. So
and then you're just there, and it's like, whoa.
yeah. So there's a lot to be said about the mindset of, well, first off, knowing that, recognizing that about yourself. But if you're just, if you're nose deep in your phone the whole time and it's just negative comment, it's really hard to separate yourself from that, because you got to walk away from that.
And I think that is a lot of problems, is all the negative comments. But Discord's pretty positive. Our Discord channel's
Yeah,
pretty
Discord's
positive.
pretty positive, but so sometimes we end up in a hole and sometimes you don't. But the religion, the beauty of the religion of being of a pagan religion, of non, Orthodox, or Christian or anything like that, is that you're free to experience it however you're supposed to experience it. I do think that whatever the creator is that we talked about earlier, the creator is a big hand, and it has millions or billions or trillions of fingers, and we are all those fingers. interacting with each other, doing whatever it is that we do. But when we harm one, we're harming ourselves. We're harming the whole, the creation, right? Regardless if it's different religions, different, come from different places. Some people have more melanin than others, all of those things, but they're still fingers of the same hand. So if we can learn to quit harming the hand and just get along as fingers, then we can do some amazing things. Think of what these hands can do. Think of what these hands have built, right? I couldn't have done it if I didn't have my pinky or I didn't have my thumb, right? Mm-hmm. They had to work together. And they're obviously different. These two, some people even say the thumb's not even a finger, right? Right? You're not even a finger. Who are you to be here? Like, you can't be with this party. It's like, fine, then go work on your car with only 4 digits. See how that works out for you when you can't hold a socket wrench. You know what I mean? Like,
I do know what you mean, yes.
I'm ranting again, whatever.
Yes. I love it, though. I fucking love it.
But,
so, back to, like, our own paths, right? I feel like I'm on a new path.
Yeah, so life kind of changed for you a little bit, huh?
It did. I went from, the path of a wife and a mother and just kind of staying indoors to really trying to get into my spiritual feminine side.
Yeah, well, the kids are kind of on their own.
Yeah.
The kids don't need to be raised anymore.
They can do whatever they need to do, and
they just need to be supported. They need to be supported while they go out and make their own mistakes. That's what happens with the kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they need to have a safe place to fall back to, and they need to have some freedom to go make their own mistakes with a guiding eye, right? Mm-hmm. So they're on their own trajectory right now. It's completely different than ours.
Yeah, and it's like, what do I do?
So you don't have to be mommy anymore. We don't have any grandkids.
Yeah, like I'm mom.
But we don't have any grandkids, so there's not that phase yet.
Nope.
We definitely have kids old enough for grandkids. We just don't have any yet. So as long as that phase is on the horizon, then we have to find something else. But now you're a kindred leader, whether you like it or not.
I am. That is a path that I've been on for many, many years, but I finally feel like I'm supposed to be on that path.
Yeah, and I can only do so much as the masculine leader. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know the feminine stuff. I'm not wired. I'm not programmed for it.
And I don't know it either. And I'm trying to figure that out.
And a lot of the ways that you figure some of that stuff out is you just feel your way through it. Mm-hmm. What feels right, what feels powerful, what doesn't, right? What feels like it's being phoned in and what feels like it's really real, Mm-hmm. And then you just take that and you go with what develops you better. And that's really the same way it is with the path with the, like this. I mean, I got a ton of references here. This is a whole big bookshelf here. There's a whole big bookshelf over there. Lots of references on all kinds of different things on this path, including some pretty obscure works. But those don't define my path. Those help me refine it. So I'm not defined by any of the information that's in any of those books. I'm defined by my interaction with our interface, with my, with my connection to the supernatural, to the hand, right? So none of that defines me. But some people, that is what defines them. And I don't know if it's just because they don't have the creative spark that allows them to take this and create this, right?
Right.
But I can't help it. I'll create this, and then I'll go find these other pieces. I'll be like, oh, they don't fit. Oh, they fit like this. Okay, so my thing needs to be a little different, right? I just start where I'm at and go jump in with both feet. Yeah. So, but I'm not going to apologize for that.
No, you shouldn't apologize for that.
Because it gives me an ability to see things from kind of a different perspective, I think, than most people.
Well, not only see things, be able to explain things in a different way. You've always been really, really good at explaining things to my level.
I'm only just now learning that...
there's more people like me than you.
People are different, obviously. Mm-hmm. But somehow, something in my life made my brain find the requirement where it had to explain things to different types of people so they would all get the message. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Something to have, probably in the military, or maybe it was younger, or maybe it was in high school, because I had a pretty diverse group of friends too, and I got to mediate between problems, explain it this way. Either way, I don't know what it is, but something created a need for me to be able to explain things in a way that simple people could understand them. And I think that was a lot of that was military service, right? But I kind of faintly remember being able to do this in high school too.
I think military service helped develop it, because you certainly had that ability before service. Because I was there, and you were able to
Yeah, I don't necessarily believe in natural ability, though. I think all abilities are developed. I think we are all born with a clean slate. We're all born with the same basic structure, a quivering, squirming little dependent that just cannot survive without someone feeding it, clothing it, wiping its ass, and doing it. We all started right at that same point. And then, depending on who those people were, and whether we got nurtured or ignored, right? Yeah. And then we created who we are by filling needs that weren't met by our environment, right? So somehow or another, I had a need to be able to explain that kind of stuff, and other people didn't. I'm not trying to say or even imply that I'm more intelligent than other people. I just have a different way that I organize information in my brain. That's all it is. My brain organizes information differently than some people. Mm-hmm. But there are definitely people like me, and I love having conversations with them because we will go. We will go. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, because I've been,
sometimes
on the outside listening.
Sometimes I walk in a room and I have a conversation, and it's just a conversation, and we're all kind of on the same level. And sometimes I walk in a room and I have a conversation with someone who's like in a different level, and I'm keeping up with them step for step, right? Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean shit. I don't know, advanced trigonometry and mathematics. I don't know advanced physics and, particle physics and things like that. I don't know that stuff. I don't know anything about that shit. So,
but you certainly could if you wanted to.
I could learn it if I wanted to. Yeah, for sure.
Just because you don't know it doesn't mean it's not.
The only way, and the thing that would make it that I could learn it is that I'm sure that it's relatable. Like, there are lessons in physics that I can already understand from other things of my life, and I can be like, oh, so the theory of relativity just means that sometimes things seem to take longer if they're not as interesting as things. You know what I mean? Like, I can apply it that way, because it's all relative, right? Right? Yes. Like, you're having a lot of fun at the arcade or whatever, and then it's like, poof, like you've been there for 4 hours and now it's time to go home.
Yeah.
But if you're sitting in class, like 20 minutes seems like 3 lifetimes.
Yeah.
It's all relative, man. I don't even know if that's... I know the theory of relativity, but
I don't.
I don't know that. I don't know it well enough to know if that's actually, if I'm just talking like an idiot.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Which I probably am. I don't know that shit. That's my point. I don't know.
Hey, fake it till you make it, babes.
Not even. I don't believe in fake it till you make it either. I don't believe in fake it till you make it. Anyway.
Anywho, we're at about an hour. Do you want to close this up?
No, I don't. I wanted to kind of hammer down that point again. That again, it's your path. It's your role. You were here to experience the world as one finger, right? That's it. You're supposed to be just that one piece. Maybe everything can function without you, or maybe it can't. Maybe you're the thumb. That's not something that we're supposed to know. If so, then we would know it intuitively. But I think that when we try to take our own personal intuition and we apply it to the things that we learn about the Lord, read, learn more stuff, and don't be so rigid in your practice that you're not willing to change or evolve your practice. I know a lot of Lokians. Well, they're not Lokians anymore, but they started out as Lokians, and they've eventually, over time, decided that wasn't good for them, or that wasn't where they wanted to be anymore. But they learned other things, and they saw things from a different perspective because they learned lessons along the way, and they changed their mind. And I think that that's okay. And I think that if we're going to learn how to do this the way that our ancestors did it, or at least what is applicable to our modern lifestyles, we're going to have to be able to be flexible and change a little bit. But that doesn't mean that the way we're doing it is wrong. It is absolutely 100% correct to our space, with our information and our training and our programming. So we're doing everything exactly the way we're supposed to be doing it, and we're evolving and growing, which is the point. That is the point, is to learn, evolve, and grow, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Nobody, and I don't care how historic they are, nobody's doing things the exact same way that it was done in the Viking Age. And if they were doing it the exact same way it was done in the Viking Age, then they completely missed the way it was being done in the Bronze Age, right? Oh, oops. How they were doing it in the Bronze Age is probably completely different than the way they were doing it in the Stone Age. You can't slaughter an animal and put its blood in a copper bowl. It has to go in a concrete bowl or a rock bowl or a, you know what I mean? Like, that's what we're doing. We're debating things like that don't matter.
Yeah.
They don't matter. I have a copper bowl because that's as far back as I can trace. Copper was the historic way to do it, but
I have a silver bowl.
yeah. But you're not wrong for having a silver bowl. But because people in the Stone Age did it some other way. Maybe they just used their hands and just splashed blood on their face. I don't know. Maybe, at some point the Stone Age ventured into the Bronze Age and they started using copper, brass, or bronze to use their bowls because when they dropped them, they didn't break. Right?
Right.
Because I know that in The Viking Age by Duchalou, he says that of the finds from temples for their bowlies that they were, not always, but he says they were most often made of copper, right?
Right.
And I would probably say he might have misinterpreted the material. They probably more often were made of bronze, or some copper variant, probably a high copper bronze, right, with a little bit of brass or some other alloying elements in it. I only say that because I know a little bit about metal. So
a little bit.
As they go, they moved from the Stone Age into the Bronze Age and into the Iron Age and the Viking Age and then on into the Modern Age. Everything changed. Everything changed. Every 100 years or so, I'm willing to bet that there weren't a lot of traditions that didn't evolve over the course of 100 years. 100 years, that's three generations at least, maybe 4 in a 100-year time frame, right? Generations. If you figure they had a kid every 25 years.
Mm-hmm. I mean, just look at the difference in how, like, our family, just celebrated different holidays as compared to how we do. Right.
Like, nobody's telling that house and that house that they're doing Christmas wrong because they have their own special insert here Christmas celebrations. But if people see
everybody's trees,
someone in Asatru doing something, they're like, "You're doing it wrong. That's not Asatru. That's da da da.
Yeah,
you can't celebrate Yule that way."
I mean, everybody's tree is decorated differently.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that's, I just don't get it. I don't get why people care so much. Like, what is? And I understand, like, hey, what I could say, what does my path have to do with you? Well, you're giving bad information and you're poisoning the pool, and it's already bad enough. Well, the only way to untangle that poison is not to drain the pool. We just dilute it. We add water to it until it's negligible, right? We add the right information. We put back in it what we want in it, and that other stuff will eventually just cease to exist because it doesn't fit. It doesn't work, Mm-hmm. And how do we get the things we want in it? We find the things that speak to our folk soul, to our people. We read the lore, we read the sagas, we read the Eddas, we read the works that are in dispute, like, Tacitus and and Ibn Fahlan's journal, and maybe the Anglo-Saxon Chronicles or various works from Snorri Sturluson, which is also debatable. People debate the legitimacy of Snorri because he was a Christian. But, I mean, what do you need to make it a fact? What do you need to make it real?
Mm-hmm. I mean, thank the gods he wrote it down.
Thank the gods he wrote it down. We wouldn't even have any of that. And it's funny because people will use Snorri's literature as something to support their argument, and then turn around in a different argument and say Snorri is illegitimate because he's a Christian, or because he did this, or because he did that. And all that tells me is they've probably never read Snorri. They've just used arguments that somebody else used against them on the internet, and all they're doing is projecting their own insecurities and their own lack of knowledge onto someone else. They're just paying it forward. It's trash. They're paying trash forward, but yeah. So if we just, I don't know, we just got to quit judging each other. And like I said, you can come out and you'd be like, I saw that video. I did it too. I'm fucking just as guilty, man. I'm not denying it. I'm working on me, but at least I know that there's work to be done. Some people don't see that, I'm just working on me. I'm just trying to be a better human. Trying to be a better finger. Trying to read between the lines, yo.
You're so bad.
All right, anyway. All right, we could probably wrap it up. Anyway, we've been gone for a minute, obviously. It's been, our year's been about as rough as yours.
It's been a rough year.
And then we just kind of, it's not that we lost interest, because I think every single day we're like, hey, we should shoot a podcast. Yeah, you're right, we should. What are we going to do it on? I don't know. Hey, we got to go pick up the kids. Oh, we got to go to the grocery store. And then life just keeps getting in the way. But today we said, no, we're going to sit down. We're going to get a mug of brew.
Mine's empty.
Mine's almost empty. And we're going to do a podcast. So that's what we did. And hopefully we'll keep this thing going. But absolutely, man. Jump down to the comments. Share this mess with with your friend and your cohorts and
this is going to be a great year.
Tribes. It's going to be a good year. We're trashing into 2024. Can you believe it? 2024. This is an election year. Can you believe it? We're going to have a lot of fun with that. I can guarantee that.
There's going to be some trolls coming from that one.
We're going to have a lot of fun with that one this year. So, yeah, stick around. Go ahead and jump down in the comments there. Look for the link to our Discord. Jump on our Discord. Have fun. Be free to discuss whatever you want. But if you start trolling, we're really good at finding it super fast and dealing with it appropriately. And
I just want to kind of make a point that, this is the path we're on this year.
Yeah, this is our path.
This is our path this year.
Our path this year is to help. So we're not trying to tell anybody how to do anything. We're just trying to be like, this is how we do it. And if you don't like that, you don't have to do it this way. That's it. You don't even have to tell us.
You definitely don't have to tell us.
You don't have to.
No.
You can just do it your way.
No.
And then we'll do it our way. And we can still be friends. So, right? But there are lines that get crossed. And it's sad when that happens, because then we can't be friends. I've blocked a lot of people on these apps, which I think I probably could have got along with otherwise if we could have worked it out. But they were so rigid in their condemnation of the way we do things that there's just, I don't want to say that there's no benefit to working it out. There's just, sometimes it's too much work, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not willing to go down that road. So if we can just keep our opinions to ourselves and just enjoy each other's company, we'd probably be a lot further.
Stay on your own path.
Yeah, because there's a lot of Christians out there and they hate you. They hate you.
Oh, they really hate you.
And they hate me.
They hate you so much.
They hate me so hard.
So hard.
But I can handle that. It hurts more when I get hate from my own community.
Yeah.
And I won't say hate because I hardly ever get hate, but it's like this. So sometimes we have an event, right? And we dress up. We put on Viking garb.
I love dressing up.
And it doesn't always necessarily have to be Viking. It can be, pre or post Viking age. And we don't put any recommendations.
Yeah,
on
we're
it.
not historically accurate at all.
It's not like this is the uniform. Of the
we don't
day.
give a fuck.
If
you
want to wear a fur on your shoulder, fine. Did you kill it? I don't really care.
They did not have snack pockets in their quest hoods in the Viking Age.
No, but we do.
Fuck yeah, we do.
Right, but so sometimes we dress because sometimes those events are more fun, like our maypole that we do in October. We know that the maypole wasn't an October thing. I don't care. Don't do it in October. We do. We like it. And we dress up for it. And we put on makeup. And we put on headdresses. And we wear furs and tunics and everything because we enjoy doing it, because it builds community. It builds our own personal traditions. And it's a lot of fun.
It is so much fun.
And I don't know what people have against having fun in religion. That seems like a trigger.
I think it's a holdover from Christianity.
How do you possibly have fun?
You're not allowed to have fun in Christianity.
I guarantee that the pagan religions wouldn't have survived if you weren't allowed to have a little fun with it back in the day. Christianity took the fun away, but we were always in it for the fun. Sometimes the fun over the worship. Read your sagas and your Eddas. Sometimes fun trumped worship. Sometimes it was more fun to go get in a fight or do some sports than it was to hold a ritual, and they would do that.
Mm-hmm.
This is how it is, man. Our people had fun, so we enjoy having fun too, and we won't apologize for that. And we're going to keep doing it, and we're going to keep having fun. And if you like having fun, then hang out with us. And if you like stirring trouble, it's unfortunate, but we're going to have to ban you.
Hail Thor.
Hail Thor with the ban hammer. In this corner, we got the mighty Thor with his banhammer. In this corner, we have puny little troll with his shitty little opinion. And fight. Thor wins every time.
Every time. Hail Thor.
Hail Thor. We'll see you guys on the next one.